perfect headline. And we see him walking to that polling station, being greeted by, you know, voters who are queuing up also to vote. He's coming at 9:10 a.m. to go cast his ballot as well. Now, it will be interesting.
South there, and Melita Oletenges is on ground, if I'm not mistaken.
It will be interesting to see how long it takes President Uhuru Kenyatta to get verified.
I mean, he just... Dennis, there's a process. There's a process for everybody, including himself, I imagine.
As we wait for the sounds of where they are, you know, Prof, we've been talking about the slow process, and earlier Dr. Samuel also alluding to the same, that everything has to go through this process. We all know it had to take this length of time, but you see everyone talking about the exercise is so concerned and so worried about the duration it's taking for one person to cast their ballot.
Correct. Yeah, I think, again, as Dr. and Caroline were highlighting, very soon we'll be asking for value for money. Yes, because if you look at it, it costs 2,500 or thereabout per person to vote in Kenya. It costs around 67 shillings per person for somebody to vote in India. And their systems are very, very efficient. The issue has been, and it'd be nice someday if Chebukati or equivalent would tell us that, look here, this is how the system we've had before has worked, and this is actually how we are improving it. I think what I find fascinating with the IBC and the voting process is that they never seem to learn anything. They just do same old, same old. Of course, I mean, a bit of the same old has worked, but on the other hand, you don't see them delivering joy and efficiency to Kenyans. You know, it would be quite exciting to tell me that, look here, last time I was in the station at 4 o'clock. We pushed and opened the door a few minutes to 6. Of course, so I vote in Kibra, so you understand the enthusiasm and the energy. And it still took us almost 30 minutes to vote. I do think that there's one area, there's absolutely no reason why Kenyans are spending that long on the queues. We have the technology, we know these things and so on, but IBC does exactly the same thing. You get these papers that are pinned all over the place. People are not aware that their names are pinned on some streams.
The fonts are too small to read.
The fonts are too small to read, and then it's quite ridiculous, because I mean, you have to first get into a queue to figure out which queue to get into. All the things becomes chaotic. So, you know, small things that we can actually always do and refine. And on this one, I think, you know, if I was in a position of power, I would actually ask value for money. We should be getting better service, especially given that we are one of the most expensive elections per head in the world.
I'm sure IBC does internal audits to just look at what are the lessons learned. But, you know, Caroline, are you concerned about the issue of quality control protocols and procedures at IBC with regards to what Prof has just mentioned? It's the same issue we are facing like the other elections, same issues. It's the slow process. We appreciate the fact that there are all these candidates and it's a democratic exercise. And with reports of failure of Kim's kits, you know, the confusion at polling centers with the confusion of streams when people are going in, is this something that we should be talking about today?
No, it's not. And I keep going back to the budget, because this is it. 374 million USD is being used for this election. That comes to 44 billion Kenya shillings. So for 44 billion, IEBC should have been running simulations. How long does it take to do this? I don't think that was done. What are the lessons from last time? For example, there is no reason why in 2022, with this type of budget, someone should be taking 20 minutes to get verified. If you have 46,000 polling stations and people are lining up outside each of these stations and they're taking 20 minutes, it means if you have how many millions of registered voters, it means that people will vote for 3 days. So I keep going back to the budget, and there's a way in which I feel IEBC has in many ways normalized mediocrity. We are seeing poor logistics, like for example what Joho is saying in Mombasa.
So there we go. We see President Uhuru Kenyatta, Caroline, sorry for that, but we see President Uhuru Kenyatta casting his ballot there. Prof, is this a significant moment, do you think, for the man?
Yes, it definitely is very significant for the man, because, I mean, he's had a hand in terms of the transition. I think he's very keen to have a smooth transfer of power, but he's told us where he doesn't want to transfer it to. so this is actually very symbolic for him, that he's actually voting his candidate of choice, that we know is actually Baba Namatha. And yes, and again, I think one of the big things for me in this election relating to the president, one of the legacies of the president would actually be an excellent election and a smooth transfer of power. I think that would really be something that is unprecedented for the country. IBC is already telling us that they intend that this becomes one of those elections with zero court issues and court claims and so on. And if this is delivered under the Uhuru presidency, to say that Kenya for the first time had totally undisputed election that was free and fair and eventually led to peaceful transfer of power, in his head, of course, to his preferred candidate. But of course, I mean, if Ruto wins, then of course that transfer must also be done to that particular candidate. I think that'll be a very good legacy. He can go home smiling that yes, he left a country that was not in shambles or in tension.
I think let's listen in and see if the president will have a word or two to say to those very many journalists gathered there.
President Kenyatta. President Kenyatta.
Absolutely.
President Kenyatta, do you believe this election will be free and fair?
It is every Kenyan's hope that is the way it shall be.
Do you hope so?
Absolutely. Next.
How was the process, sir? How was the process? Was it fast?
Smooth. Smooth. I wasn't there for too long and we were done. Everything seems to be working, so we just hope it continues like that for the rest of the day.
The allegations from your competitors that the government is meddling with this election, what do you have to say about that?
I have no competitors.
Raila Odinga's competitor.
Well, this is a day of voting. I think this is a day where everyone pray that Kenyans vote, turn out, vote in peace, go back to their homes and wait and serve. I think that's all I have to say.
What message do you have for people?
Message, as I told
All right, President Uhuru Kenyatta, they're asking Kenyans to turn out and vote, and at that vote, peacefully, he says he has no competitors in this race, although some have framed it as a race between himself and his deputy William Ruto. Prof, you already spoke about the significance of this moment for President Uhuru Kenyatta. Perhaps having heard what he's had to say, Sam, what do you make of his comments this morning?
I think in the first place,